Chaos struck Utah Valley University in an instant, a single gunshot that silenced a packed auditorium of more than 3,000 people and ended the life of Charlie Kirk, one of the nation's most polarizing political figures. Within seconds, the crowd dissolved into panic, security scrambled for control, and the nation was left with one haunting question: who killed Charlie Kirk? The tragedy has since spiraled into one of the most disturbing investigations in recent American history, exposing not just forensic inconsistencies and political manipulation, but what many now suspect is a calculated government cover-up. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth reports like this. From the very beginning, nothing about the shooting added up. Kirk was in the middle of a Q&A session at Utah Valley University when a sharp crack echoed through the hall. Witnesses described seeing him stumble backward before collapsing, blood pooling on the stage. Yet despite the chaos, not a single person identified a shooter. No muzzle flash, no visible weapon, just confusion and fear. The police lockdown was immediate, but their rapid response raised even more suspicion. Within minutes, officials named a suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, a quiet electrical apprentice from Provo with no criminal history, no record of aggression, and no clear connection to Kirk or his political work. Friends described him as soft-spoken and introverted, more likely to spend evenings working on wiring projects than following national politics. The accusation stunned his community, and for many, it didn't make sense. How could someone with no motive, no background in violence, and no visible connection to the event be singled out within minutes of the shooting? The inconsistencies began to pile up quickly. Forensic reports revealed there was no gunshot residue on Robinson's hands or clothing, meaning he couldn't have fired a weapon. Fingerprint tests on the .30-06 rifle allegedly used in the assassination came back inconclusive. No prints on the trigger, barrel, or magazine. Instead, investigators found partial DNA traces only on a towel wrapped around the gun, suggesting Robinson may have touched it at some point, but never actually fired it. Experts were baffled. A high-powered rifle like a .30-06 would have produced immense recoil and an unmistakable exit wound, yet the autopsy revealed the bullet never left Kirk's body. Ballistics experts publicly questioned how such a weapon could cause that type of wound. Some went further, saying the physics simply didn't match the official narrative. But what truly ignited suspicion was what happened to the surveillance footage. University security cameras, positioned throughout the auditorium and campus, mysteriously went dark during the critical 60 seconds surrounding the shooting. The only gap in an otherwise continuous feed happened at the exact moment Kirk was shot. When reporters pressed authorities for answers, they claimed the footage had been corrupted due to a system error. Days later, leaked screenshots from internal servers showed tampering, files deleted, and timestamps altered. The supposed error appeared anything but accidental. Whistleblowers within the university's IT department later confirmed that federal agents had seized all video evidence less than 2 hours after the shooting, effectively locking down every piece of digital data before independent investigators could review it. The digital manipulation didn't stop there. Authorities claimed they had recovered Discord messages from Robinson's account outlining vague threats toward Kirk, framing them as proof of premeditation. Yet cybersecurity specialists later determined the screenshots were fabricated. No record of those conversations existed on Discord's official servers, and the timestamps were inconsistent with Robinson's phone activity logs. Forensic analysts identified image compression patterns typical of AI-generated fabrications. Even more concerning, the alleged evidence appeared online before Robinson's arrest, suggesting someone leaked or planted it to preemptively shape public opinion. Eyewitnesses only deepened the contradictions. Several attendees described seeing men dressed in tactical gear positioned near the exits, just before the gunfire. Others claimed they heard multiple shots from different directions, suggesting a coordinated attack rather than a lone shooter. Law enforcement dismissed those claims as confusion under stress, but ballistic analysis later confirmed that 2 distinct calibers of ammunition were recovered from the scene. Still, the official report maintained that only one rifle was fired, and that it belonged to Tyler Robinson. Within hours of the shooting, the FBI and federal counterterrorism units took over the investigation. Local police were ordered to stand down. Witnesses were detained and released under strict non-disclosure agreements. All physical and digital evidence was transferred to a classified federal facility, and by the following morning, the case was officially declared resolved. No further suspects were pursued, and no federal press briefing ever clarified how the government reached its conclusions so quickly. In under 48 hours, a young man's life was destroyed, and a high-profile political figure's assassination was quietly closed as an open-and-shut case. Yet, deeper motives soon came to light. Insiders close to Kirk's organization revealed that, in the weeks before his death, he had been preparing to launch an internal audit targeting major donors and high-ranking staff suspected of financial misconduct. Sources allege that Kirk had uncovered irregularities involving unaccounted political funds and offshore transfers tied to powerful networks. His death, some now argue, silenced a man who was about to expose corruption reaching far beyond his organization. The timing, the speed of the investigation, and the total blackout on evidence have led many to suspect the assassination was orchestrated, not as a random act, but as a preemptive strike to prevent a scandal from erupting. The contradictions between forensic data, digital manipulation, and political pressure have shattered public confidence. Experts say the government's narrative collapses under the weight of evidence that simply doesn't align with science or logic. Gunshot residue tests, missing footage, altered files, and AI-fabricated messages all point toward deliberate interference. The more details emerge, the clearer it becomes that Tyler Robinson may have been framed, a convenient scapegoat offered to a shocked nation desperate for quick closure. Beyond the immediate tragedy, the case raises a chilling question. How easily can truth be rewritten when those in power control the evidence? The assassination of Charlie Kirk now stands as a symbol of that struggle, a stark reminder that justice can be manipulated and history can be edited in real time. In a society where information is filtered, withheld, or manufactured, the truth becomes a casualty long before the body hits the ground. The story of Charlie Kirk's death isn't just about one man's assassination. It's about the silent machinery that decides what the public is allowed to know. Every missing file, every redacted report, and every silenced witness speaks to a larger crisis, a system more invested in control than in truth. Whether Kirk's death was a politically motivated execution or a tragic failure of transparency, its aftermath has exposed something much larger, a dangerous erosion of accountability in modern America. In the end, what remains is not clarity, but doubt. A nation is left questioning its institutions, wondering how many other stories have been quietly rewritten behind closed doors. Tyler Robinson's name will likely linger in headlines as a symbol of misplaced blame, while the true architects of the tragedy remain untouched. And as new details continue to surface, one truth becomes undeniable. When power holds the pen, truth is always the first draft to be erased. If you value real investigations that challenge official narratives, remember to subscribe for more stories that dig beneath the surface.